안녕하세요. 저는 코리 존슨입니다.
It's kind of sensitive issues in especially Korean and Asian community. It's a specialized high school.
Yes.
What's your position on the changes to the admission process for the kind of specialized high school?
Well, I think the way the plan was rolled out really created a lot of pain for all sorts of communities, for African American and Latino families they want their children in the specialized high schools, and also towards Asian families, Chinese, Korean families who have worked really, really hard to make sure that their children are prepared to get into these schools. And I think we don't want to pit communities against each other. And so stakeholder input is really key as we go through this process. And I think one thing that's important to say is that Asian children and Asian families' success is not the problem here. And it's important for us to say that. One of the things that is really key is, I think, creating more opportunity. And that means creating more specialized high schools. So there are more seats for all communities across New York City. I don't think that the test itself needs to be the only factor that gets people into these schools. I think we could use some version of a test with grade point average, with class rank, with extracurricular activity, with all of the things that make up a child as they're going through the school system. And the other conversation we have to have is that this is a very small percentage of the students that go to high schools. There are over 300,000 kids that go to high school in New York City. This is about 20,000 of those seats. And so we really need to improve all schools. We need to improve all middle schools and all high schools to make sure that every family, no matter if you are Caucasian or Asian or African American or Latino or Southeast Asian, whatever you are, that your child, whether they get into a specialized high school or not, that they get a great education. And that's what we need to do here. And I think this whole debate has really caused a lot of pain because people feel like there's a scarcity. They feel like there's only a small amount of these seats that can create success. And we need to expand the ability for success for good, high quality education to all communities, all neighborhoods, all families, all types of ethnicities in New York City. That's what we need to focus on.
And what are some of the things you could do for small business owners like the Korean and Asian American community?
Well, the Asian community are really, as I said before, the backbone of our entire city, but they are a major backbone of the small business community here in New York City. And not just in Chinatown, and not just in Flushing, and not just in Sunset Park, but literally in all neighborhoods across the entire city. Asian immigrants and their families own and operate small businesses, which are key to these neighborhoods being successful and are key to the economy and also our tax base in New York City. So some of the things that we need to do is we need to make it easier for small businesses to operate. We need to make sure we have a property tax system that is fair and makes sense so that when property taxes are being passed along to small businesses, it's not in a way that is making it difficult for them to stay open. When city agencies come out, whether it's the Department of Health or the Department of Consumer Affairs, and they come out and they issue violations to small businesses, they should give, for some of these types of violations, the opportunity to actually fix it before you fine the person. Give them 30 days to fix the violation if it's not a life safety issue, and make sure they have an opportunity to fix it before you actually hurt them with a fine. Those are some of the things we can do. And then lastly, I think it's important that we actually ensure that regulations that exist are not crazy. What do I mean by that? I know there was an issue in Flushing on some of the signage that existed on some of the small businesses, where the city was coming out and fining small business owners because the signs didn't fit regulation. And for these small businesses, whether it be a deli or a fruit stand or a bodega or a restaurant, whatever it is, those fines really hurt those small businesses. So we need to create regulations that actually make sense for small business owners in a way that's not punitive, doesn't hurt them, doesn't use them as a piggy bank, but actually supports them so they can continue to operate, continue to thrive, continue to be the job creators that they are in New York City.
And this will be maybe our last questions. We know your grandmother is a Korean, but I don't think you have a memory of her. But in what way has your Korean heritage or the roots have affected your life?
Well, I'm really proud that I'm a quarter Korean. I might be the only Irish Korean elected official, maybe not in just New York State, maybe in the country. I don't know. I think there's very few of us. And even though I didn't have a chance to meet my father, when we connected later in his life, when he unfortunately had cancer and he was dying, and I got to speak with him quite a bit, he was really proud of his Korean heritage, and he did connect with his mother. He went back and found her after he was adopted by an American couple and brought to the United States. And so I look forward to one day visiting Korea. I look forward to hopefully visiting Seoul. I look forward to visiting the country where my father was born and learning more about it. I'm really proud of that because I think the greatest strength of our city and of our country, but especially New York City, is that of the 8.6 million people who live in New York City, only 37% of that 8.6 million were not born in the United States of America, but came here with dreams and aspirations for themselves and for their families to make a better life for their children, to have a greater opportunity than they were able to have in maybe the country they were born in. And that is what the American dream is about. That is what the promise of New York City is about. And so I feel really grateful that my heritage is that of a half Korean father and an Irish mother who met at a young age, who had me, and that I was able to come to New York City even though I wasn't born outside the country. I was able to come here at 19 years old with 2 bags, knowing one person, being able to really be of service to the city that I love, to get on the community board and to run for city council and to be speaker. That is a gift, it's an opportunity, and I'm grateful for that. And my entire experience as an LGBT person, as a person who grew up in public housing, as a person who's open about being HIV positive, as a person who's spoken openly about being sober from drugs and alcohol, as a person who's spoken openly about quitting smoking. I'm on day 105 without a cigarette. I'm really proud of my experience, and I'm proud that I'm a quarter Korean, and I look forward to one day visiting Korea and even reconnecting more with my identity.
And the Korean Independence Day is right around the corner, so this is kind of special, so interview will be. So please comment or send a message to Korean community.
I want to say Happy Independence Day, and I am really proud that council members Peter Koo and Paul Vallone the last few years have had a resolution and have had events commemorating this really important day for the Korean community. I know it's a point of pride. I know it's a point of celebration. And in the greatest city in the world, New York City, we're really proud to wish all of you a happy Korean Independence Day. Be safe, enjoy it, spend it with your families, tell stories, and continue to reconnect with your heritage and your culture that you're so proud of, because we're so proud of you. We're proud that you're New Yorkers, and we want the Korean community to grow in New York City so that we have more Koreans in New York City. That is part of our dream and our goal for all people who live here, especially the Korean American community.